What's going on, guys? Ryan Morris here with another video coming to you here today. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to turn on the notification bell below. Stay tuned on all of the latest updates of not just the 200K challenge, but any sort of market analysis or any sort of market psychology videos here to drop. Okay, so let's get into Bitcoin because I know everybody is super eager to dive into it. And the first thing that I want to say before I even jump into the past couple of trades that we've taken on the 200K account is I want to say that it is really important when things are uncertain to keep the bigger picture right in front of you. And the bigger picture to me is pretty obvious, right? We've got a very, very nice downtrend on the weekly time frame. We've got wave, we've got wave, we've got wave that I don't think is really done forming yet. And so let's just go ahead and clear all that out. Let's go down to the lower time frames, and I'm going to rewind and show you the trade that we took either yesterday or 2 days ago. Honestly, I don't even remember when we actually entered. But I'm going to show you on the charts where we entered, and I'm going to kind of walk you through all of the craziness that's going on. Let's go back to here first. So this was a few days ago, and we had discussed, I believe, at this point that I was expecting something like this to happen. Let me stop doing that. Something like this, and then a drop. However, it just went ahead and dropped. And so at that point, I kind of thought that this little thing right here, this little zone, was acting as a breaker block, and it somewhat did to a certain extent. It just didn't play out completely. And so what ended up happening is we took an entry right around here with a tight stop. And this is why swing trading, you can see pretty obviously the market is very sideways. Swing trading on the bigger picture can definitely be frustrating sometimes when you're trying to go for the long-term move and it's just super choppy. I mean, obviously we had our TP set to like pretty much the depths of the abyss of everything. And so at this point, I mean, we had gone up by about 145 or so pips in profit, took 10% off the table. And then what happens from here? Looks like it wants to tank. And then just all of a sudden, we tap right back into here. And actually, we had an alert set for this zone because when I was first reviewing this trade setup, I was like, all right, either we're going to respect this breaker block, we're going to go back up into here, or we're going to flip bullish and break past through here. And so what ended up happening is price did go back up into here, and holy smokes, right? Just dropped off the face of the earth. And we had entered right here, I think pretty close to market open right before Asian had started. And we went up, oh gosh, quite a bit. We were up about 220, 240, somewhere around there, 200 and some odd pips. Took another 10% off the table. And, same target in mind, the depths of the abyss at the bottom of everything. And at this point, I mean, we're looking at the 4-hour right now, but if you look at the 12-hour, it's like, bro, oh my goodness, right? It looks like we're about to just take all of this liquidity that's right here. And so what happens? We tap back into the zone again, right? It's like ping pong. It's like going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And so this brings us to where we're at right now. And this is why it's really important to remain calm and to know when your setup is invalidated and when it's not. And we entered actually above this candle right here. And you can see, I will actually unshare my screen for a second so that you can see if I can figure out how. There we go. The entry that we got is pretty awesome. It was at 31,301. So going back onto the chart and looking at where that is, 31,301. So pretty much right above that 4-hour candle. We had our stop set to right here, right above this little institutional candle. And again, our target is really far down, our overall big picture target, right? And so we're floating right about 145 pips in profit we were at. So we're floating like 140, 135 right now, which is pretty nice. Looking at that 12-hour candle sequence. I mean, look, guys, that's 3 separate trades that we've gone up like 150 to 200 to 250 pips. To be honest with you, probably should be taking more partial profits than 10% and 20%, and should probably stop being so attached to that big 400, 500, 600 pip move. But I'm just very confident that it's coming, and maybe that'll pay off, maybe it won't. But as of right now, I mean, there is nothing on the bigger picture that is showing that it's not going to happen, right? We're getting lower highs. What does that tell you? It tells you that buyers are getting shaken out of the market. It tells you that the buying volume that is entering the market is not strong enough to penetrate this zone right here, right? This zone right here is really strong. And if you look on the weekly and monthly levels, it makes a lot of sense of why it's having trouble doing that, right? This is a very important zone, right? And I don't say very important number. I mean, you could argue that 30,000 is a pretty important psychological number. Sure, I guess. But I mean, even looking in, you know, we're really starting to wick off of this zone pretty hard on that weekly time frame. And on the monthly time frame, we finished very, very bearish last month. And if we truly are going to continue on this downtrend, I fully expect this wick to fill, right? And if this wick is going to fill, that means that sometime in June, we are going to see that liquidity on that 4-hour, 8-hour, you know, time frame get swept. And what it's looking like to me right now is it's probably going to happen sooner rather than later with all of these lower highs forming. So, like I said, guys, it's really important to remain calm. It's really important to remain level-headed. It's really important to know when your setup is invalidated. And if our setup were invalidated on the long, you know, on the longer term, or on the bigger picture, I guess, we would have violated this zone, right? We would have gotten a push above it, pretty strong push above it. I don't know why I always do that. Sneak use of the brush, right? Pretty good push above it, and then a retest into like some sort of institutional candle, and then boom, we'd continue market structure to the upside. That's not happening, right? I mean, there's been 1,000,005 reasons for buyers to enter the market in the last month, right? I mean, you know, the guys that are super long on Bitcoin long term are screaming, oh my gosh, we're never going to see these levels again. Buy, 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 get in now. There was actually just a bill presented to US Congress today, pretty much regulating the crypto industry, which in my opinion doesn't really make sense if you are bullish on crypto, because it's kind of like the opposite of why crypto, of why people are excited about crypto, right? It's supposed to be, you know, independent of all of the regulation and the government agencies and everything. So I think that's probably what pumped up the market today, you know, going back to this move right here. This move right here specifically, that's probably what pumped it up. But look, I mean, it is just getting wrecked all over again. That imbalance is already filled, and we're already moving back to the downside. I mean, if you look, there are a lot of equal lows here. Okay, and I know that they were swept originally right here, but we still have this IPA right here that is not filled. So, like I said, I'm very much expecting that wick to fill this month with no problem. If not, you know, a massive engulfing monthly candle to the downside. And look, I'm not anti-crypto or anything. That's just what the technical analysis is reading, right? I mean, if it were reading to the upside, I'd be just as I'd be just as honest about that, but the facts are that it's just not right now. And for those of you that think that I am anti-crypto, look, I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to make money. And that's something that you really, really need to be important, or something you really need to be cognizant of. Something you need to keep at the front of your mind is that you don't want to just be right. You want to make money. And look, there is plenty more room to the upside than there is to the downside for Bitcoin and for crypto, right? I mean, if Bitcoin were to go to 100,000 a coin, fantastic. That's what, like 7,000 pips to the upside. I'm down for that. There's only about 3,000 more pips that we can go to the downside before we don't have any more room to go down. So I'm really down for whatever, but downside is just what we're reading right now. And just so you guys can get an update of the actual account, yes, obviously I went into a pretty dumb amount of drawdown. I'll even show you the trading history. I just got way too impatient of trying to find this entry on Bitcoin. And early on this week, it just wasn't there. It is what it is. You can see there, I even got stopped out at break even on one of them. Actually pretty recently, and then stopped out at break even on another one. But yeah, I mean, the trading history is not looking too good at all. I definitely went into an unnecessary amount of drawdown, right? Down 13.8 on the account in total in realized gains. But I mean, just on that trade and actually an AUD USD trade that I'm about to break down for you guys, I mean, we're pretty much almost back at break even. So you just got to be level headed. You got to be calm, and you got to be disciplined. And obviously I have not done a very good job at being disciplined on this management part of things, but hey, that's okay. I'm trying, I'm getting better. Let's look at this AU trade, and then let's go to bed, because we are in two trades that are risk-free right now, and there is just no reason to get into anything else when you're in that situation. Okay, so beginning of this week, I was actually pretty bullish on AU, but I should have known better, because that is a pretty it's a pretty retail mindset to have coming into the week, right? Looking at the 3 bullish candles and going, oh man, we're going to see another bullish week. It's like, look, that's just not always how it works. So if we go down to the 4-hour time frame, what do we have here? All right, so first off, look at market structure. It is pretty obvious that we've seen higher high, higher low, 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 higher high. But when we got to here, kind of struggled to break a new high, and then struggled again to break a new high. And so that to me kind of signaled that we were running out of gas. And to be honest with you, I'm giving you a very simplistic breakdown of what I see on this setup. Because I mean, you can try to look to the left and say, oh, well, there's this imbalance over here, right? From like here to here that hasn't been filled. Why wouldn't you just wait for this imbalance to be filled before you try to sell? Well, because it doesn't have to fill in order for you to sell. That's why. And to be honest with you, long term, we might actually be going bullish on AU anyways. We go look at the monthly, and this is a big might. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. We did finish bullish last month. We did sweep a pretty fair amount of liquidity last month, right here, right? All these equal lows were swept. So we could end up going bullish. However, what I would like to see, if that were the case, is I would like for there to be a nice little wick that forms on this monthly candle, maybe back to these equal lows, maybe even a little bit lower. But hey, let's just pretend that it is back at these equal lows. In fact, I'm just going to draw a straight up horizontal line, like right around here. I'll draw 2 images, actually, because that is a zone. It's not really an exact number. Just draw something right in here. And I'll bet you if we go down to like the 4-hour, we could probably find an institutional candle that's in that zone. And would you look at that? Let's go down to the 2-hour, see if we can refine it a little bit. Actually, nope, not really. And basically all I'm looking for is like a hard push down and then push up. There you go. There it is right there. This candle right here. Boom. So if we were going to go bullish on AUD USD long-term, bigger picture, okay, that would be a pretty good reason to sweep all this IPA right here. And then all of these, I wouldn't really call them equal highs, but you know, you see two of them right here. You see some more IPA up here. So yeah, I could see that, you know, being a reason to push up and sweep there, but we're not going to do that all in one wave, or at least not, it's not very likely that we're going to. So we just look from here to here. We'll just call it to right here to the top of that wick. I mean, that's a solid 200 pip move. It's not bad. Why would I ignore that as a selling opportunity that's there, right? So what we did on the 15-minute level right here, what am I doing? Oh, gosh, I really hate going down to the 15-minute. Let's go down to the hour. See right here, price is kind of starting to struggle a little bit. We're really, really struggling to break any sort of new highs. Didn't break this high right here. Even this high right here didn't break anything over here. Didn't break this, didn't break this. And so although on the 4 hour, we haven't really necessarily shifted market structure, we have definitely met some exhaustion. We definitely have some liquidity down here that will likely be swept. And so that was enough for me to say, hey, let's press the sell button. And so we got an entry at 0.7225, set the stop right here at 0.7243. So that's what, like an 18 pip stop loss. Sounds good to me. Even if you were to just target this low right here, I mean, you're talking about a 1 to 3.5, 1 to 4 risk to reward ratio trade. That's pretty good in my book. So what's going to happen is it's going to get down here. I'm going to take 50% of profit off of the table, and I'm going to let it run and then trail the stop loss along market structure on the short-term timeframes, probably on like the 2 to 4 hour timeframes. And then I'm going to wait to see what price does when it gets down here. And actually, just while we're here, why not? Let's set an alert. I like to set an alert towards the top of the zone so that when price is creeping into it, I can at least have some time to start to look at it. So this looks like 0.7, let's go 0.703. Set an alert there. Boom, notify on that, show pop up. Great. And actually that would make a lot of sense for it to react off of this level because 0.70 flat, it's a pretty psychological number. So I mean, institutions might be looking to bring it back down into there until they long it long term. I don't know. But there is also a fair amount of liquidity just into this right here, into this little trend. And retail traders probably would say, oh, break and retest the trend line. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can make an argument for that. Sure. Why not? Either way, we're taking it to the downside. Nice little 1 to 3.5, 1 to 4 risk to reward on the first take profit target. And we're looking at a, call it here, just to play it safe, 1 to 11, 1 to 12, risk to reward on the final target. Hey man, that's not bad. That's a pretty good trade in my book. And that's what trading is all about, right? It's about risk to reward, and it's about taking trades that make sense, right? You're not going to be perfect, as you can clearly see. I think I'm like 1 for, oh, I forgot. I took a gold trade this morning. I'll show you that. I'll show you guys that here in a second. Yeah, I think I'm like 2 of 22 on my trades, on my total entries, because like sometimes I'll stack additional entries if I go into a little bit of drawdown. It's called martingaling. Yeah, I mean, I'm like 2 of 22, and I'm about to swing this account into some pretty good profit, assuming these trades play out. So don't let your ego get into the way of like letting you realize what makes a good trader. What makes a good trader is staying disciplined and sticking to a plan, right? And risk to reward. Risk to reward is everything, guys, because if this is a 1 to 12 and it hits the final target, you could lose 8 trades in a row and win this one trade. And guess what? You're up, you know, by probably at least, I mean, if you risk 1% on those 8 trades and you risk 1% on this trade, you're at 4%. You have a net gain of 4%. That is all that matters at the end of the day. So let me go to this gold trade here real quick, and we'll get out of here. go to like the 1 hour. It was really just a scalp, honestly. It was a nice little 60 pip move. It's like 1846. Gosh, 1846.69. That's where I got in. Zoom in a little bit. Honestly, I'm trying to remember why I even took this trade. It was very impulsive, I'm not gonna lie. Oh yeah, here we are. Okay, I remember now. It's really just following market structure, to be honest. Right, you had the higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Saw a nice little liquidity sweep, played off of this candle right here, moved into a higher high. And I actually kind of caught the trade late. I really should have caught it around like 1843, but that happened at like 5 or 6 in the morning when I was asleep. So I didn't really have a chance to. So I pretty much just scalped it from, let me see here, like here, just up into that previous high right there. And that was really it. I mean, I pretty much caught it with no drawdown. I think maybe I had like 10 pips of drawdown. The correct stop loss would have been down here below that that IC right here. But the risk to reward on that wouldn't have been that great. It would have been like 1 to 1.5, you know? So I just kind of played it by ear. It ended up being like a 1 to 2.5 or a 1 to 3, but it was just a, you know, a quick little scalp that I saw an opportunity for. So I figured, you know, why not? Let's just take it. And so it worked out. I didn't call it out in Telegram or anything. I didn't really think that it was that clear of a setup. I mean, like it was, but it wasn't a good entry. It wasn't good enough for me to talk about in Telegram, because even though like I'm trying to document this publicly, there are people in the Telegram chat that treat it like a signals chat, even though it's not at all. Like I'm not calling out signals. I'm simply just documenting the whole experience from this account. And, you know, if people want to take the trades with me, great. It's fine. Do so at your own risk, whatever. But I didn't want to call out, I didn't want to say that I was trading that, because it wasn't something that I necessarily wanted somebody to just impulsively jump into, because I know that's how people work. And so I didn't. But anyways, guys, that's the current state of affairs on the 200K challenge. If you got some value out of this video, if you're in profit on any of these trades that you may or may not have taken, leave a like, leave a comment down below. Make sure you hit subscribe, by the way, to the channel. It does help it out immensely. I noticed that like 75% of you guys watching these videos are not subscribed. So just do me a favor, hit the button, right? Or if I haven't earned you hitting that button, you leave me a comment down below. Let me know what I got to do to earn you hitting that subscribe button. All right, guys, that's all for now. See you next time.